Welcome. Welcome as we explore together, taking a leap in loving and being loved, a conscious leap in freedom and fulfillment. For most of us, at least all the people I've ever interacted with, love is very, very, very important to our experience of feeling fulfilled, our experience of being happy, our experience of relaxation, our experience of sleeping well. It really affects so many things, loving and being loved. So let's look into it a little deeper, and there will be a practice later in this video. So this is the kind of thing you might want to just wait your first round through and just listen and receive and consider. And then if you're going to take any notes, wait till maybe your second or your third round through. Really see what you can feel behind the words. See if you can sense the presence of love or a presence of love. And notice what you notice about that along the way. I'll share some thoughts, some concepts, some practices, some perspectives, and none of them are the whole entire truth on the matter of love. There's so much we can explore about this and unpack through a lifetime of experience. And really, what I've recognized and continue to recognize, and has been well articulated in other places too, is that this leap in love, this leap in loving, this leap in feeling love and wholeness of love. Yeah, we feel so whole when we're in the space of love, when we can really relax into and open to the space of love. Effort, attention, and humility. So we'll unpack all of that. So let's take a couple of deep breaths and really prepare the ground by preparing the body the way we'd prepare to go into meditation. So that's softening the body, relaxing anything you can relax at will, and deepening and slowing the exhales. So let's take 3 deep conscious breaths together. Just inhale up through the soles of your feet up to the space above the top of your head. And as you exhale, exhale slowly and have the feeling like you're letting go in all directions from your body of any sort of holding, the energy of thinking. And just make it up that letting go is easy. So we'll do at least 3 of those. Inhale deeply. Hold the breath, feel the breath. There's aliveness coming in on every inhale. See if you can sense this aliveness, even just a little bit. And now let go in all directions. Good. 2 more just like that. Inhale deeply. And let go. Inhale deeply. And let go. Beautiful. Now, freshly, if you're in a chair, press your feet into the floor. Just micro movements, pressing your feet into the floor, feeling the solidity of the floor below your feet. Really feel this solidity. And feeling this solidity is a connection to the solidity and the support of the earth below. And feeling the sits bones pressing into your seat, whether you're in a cushion on the floor, you're seated in the car, you're in a chair at home, pressing those sitting bones and your thighs and buttocks into the seat. Feel the holding of your seat. And this is also connecting you to the solidity, the holding of the earth below. Why is this important? Well, when we're forming healthy attachments, healthy connections with humans, and really anything, the first pillar, according to the research of Daniel P. Brown and Scott Elliott at Harvard University, is safety and protection. So I begin the meditations, I begin the practices myself on my own and with you, with really this pressing in, this light movement of pressing into the floor and the seat to feel the solidity. This helps the nervous system, whether we're conscious of it or not, to feel a little safer, to have the body let go of tension. And as we let go of tension, perspective can expand more. We can recognize things that may have been too subtle to recognize when we were holding more tension. Take another deep breath with me and let go on the exhale. Beautiful, beautiful. So loving and being loved, a leap in freedom and fulfillment. And if you see me looking over here, it's because I've got a few notes for myself that I made before the video. I want to make sure that I hit these points. So I'm still very much with you when I'm looking over. And that's a cue right there. When it comes to relational love, which is where we're really exploring a lot of the possibility together, relating with other human beings particularly, giving a note like that is really helpful. More and more, many of us are having calls and interactions over video, over the internet. So depending on where the camera is located and whatnot, the other person may not know where our camera is located or what we're doing, and could feel misattuned with or not attuned with depending on where our eyes go. I've particularly oriented my camera so that I can look at my video screen and it feels like I'm looking right into the camera. There's a very, very minimal difference between me looking right into the camera and looking at the video screen. And this is important for you to feel like I'm really connecting with you. And if we're in a two-way call or more, vice versa. So letting people know, oh, I'm looking over here and I'm still with you. I'm just looking at my notes that are important to our conversation. And then the other person can relax a little bit. That's in the realm of what I'll talk about, the conduct of love, the activities, the conduct. And we'll touch on that in a little bit. So let's start with the interior of love, the experience of love. Take another deep breath to make some space, and you can do more breaths as you notice that it would be beneficial. So take a deep breath and let go on the exhale. So the experience of love. See if you can get one or more memories of a wonderful experience that you call love. A wonderful experience. And this could be with a pet or an animal in nature or trees. There's lots of places, a sunset, a meditation where you're really deep inside your own awareness or awareness itself, or with another. Perhaps you remember a really great hug that was just freely given and freely received, or simply making eye contact with somebody where there was no grasping, clinging, or chasing. There was just the presencing of love. Take a few moments and just reflect on this. I'm going to silence my mic as there's a little outside noise. Oh, it's gone. So just reflect. See if you can get at least a memory. Oh, there it is again. So once you have a memory, sink into the feeling. Sink into the feeling there. And see what you notice about the feeling without overly, getting intellectual about it. Just notice the feeling. What happens to your breath as you feel this feeling of your memory? What happens to the muscles and tendons in your body? What happens maybe to your posture and your alignment? Can you open more to the feeling, using the memory as a doorway? Keep your breath full, but without strain. Full, but without strain. And then let that memory go and allow a different memory to come forward. A different memory. It could be from this morning. It could be from last week. It could be from 20 years ago. But it's coming alive freshly now. It's coming into the foreground. And once again, sink into the feeling and see what you notice about how it touches your breath, your muscles and tendons, tension or release, the posture of your body. Maybe even you start to move and you want to stretch. Let that happen. I noticed that for me and many of my clients and students that touching deeper love is a space where we end up unwinding old tension that may or may not even be related to something close to love, but in the presence of love, there's an unwinding that can happen. So see if you notice any of that. So the interior love, the interior experience of loving, being loved, and love itself. We crave this. if we've ever tasted it, and I hope you have, and I'm imagining that if you're even interested in this video and you've gotten this far, you are interested in love. When my mother was passing away in 2019, and I was sitting bedside with her in hospice, it was so clear to me freshly. Two of the most important things in life, breath and love. Breath seems to organize how we're feeling in any given moment. And without love, what's the point of being alive? I just don't know. And to encourage you a little further, love is not dependent on another person. My experience continues to show me that love is already everywhere. It's already everywhere, in full measure. It seems to be an expression of the conscious force that creates all of life. One of the many expressions. And if you look closely, if you feel closely, love and the force of beauty, and I'm not talking about objective beauty like magazines and social media might say is beautiful. I'm talking about the beauty that touches you, moves you. That love and beauty are very close. So keep this in your awareness. Explore this well after the video. Love and beauty and love. So the interior experience of love, as it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, melts these habits of our personality of grasping, clinging, chasing, and pushing away. Grasping, clinging, chasing, and pushing away. You could call those simply attachment and aversion. Attachment, I want more of it. Aversion, get it away. Love melts this. As love really rises in our whole system, we literally perceive differently. The brain waves flow differently. Monks who are studied in deep meditation, their brain waves, on meditation on compassion, were shown to produce high gamma brain waves. So not only is the interior experience of love something we can feel and recognize, we can also see it measured objectively in terms of how heart rate variability, brain waves, muscle tension, and other factors that can be measured can be seen. Take a deep breath. Let go on the exhale. So let's just take on faith for now that infinite love is already available everywhere, including right where you are right now listening to this video. Infinite love, that there's no limit, that the only limits are the things we're carrying and holding on to from prior experiences. So we could call this, in part, the shadow of love. What's the shadow? Well, I'm actually referencing shadow work, which is a term that's becoming more and more familiar for people doing consciousness work and inner development. Shadow is anything that we've pushed into the unconscious, and mostly we don't realize we've done this. And these could be negative feelings, and these can also be positive traits that we have that get pushed into the shadow, into the unconscious. They get walled off. So for one reason or another, when it comes to negative shadow, it's typically something that's we've had an experience that was bigger than we could digest or process in the moment that it was going on for whatever the reason, and the energy gets stored. And also often what happens when that occurs is that breath shortens or stops in that time and tissue tightens. So typically the areas of our body, maybe it's chronic low back pain or jaw tension or neck pain, these can be simply structural issues about something going on with your body. Often, very often, and there's a lot of research to support this, there's an emotional component. There's unconscious energy stored. And it's been rightly said and observed that the body is the gateway between the conscious and the unconscious. The symptoms in our body can be a gateway to recognizing what we've walled off and pushed into the unconscious. So our experiences around loving and being loved, many of us, and I almost want to say most of us, had experiences in childhood when we were still developing and learning how to form healthy relationships or how to form relationships, had experiences of being misattuned with, misaligned with. So I said that pillar one of forming healthy attachments from that research at Harvard is safety and protection. Well, pillar two is attunement. I feel you feeling me. I feel you feeling me. I don't have to explain myself. I can tell you're with me. That's attunement. That's what happens when therapeutic situations or well-facilitated kind of developmental interactions, like what I do one-on-one and mentoring, when it goes well, it's palpable. This feeling of being attuned with. Well, we have a lot of memories, many of us, maybe most of us, of being misattuned with. And that got stored in our body. So it can come up as a fear of opening to another. That other could be the infinite field of love that gets really intense unexpectedly in a deep meditation experience on retreat and get scared. It could be opening up to the love of another, showing up maybe in a really healthy way, who's taken deep interest in getting to know us, but we get scared. Why do we get scared? We're bumping up into old shadow material from our past. Now, if we have the tools to work with this, excuse the itch on my underneath my mustache. As we bump into this, and if we have the tools, we can get to work with it right away. The simple answer to this is to touch, using like we did before, a memory, and it could be the memory of holding a baby, a puppy, or a kitten. That's a really powerful access. Or being held in a loving way. We use this memory to invoke the feeling of lovingness, and really sink into it, and then pick up that part of the body or psyche that has the tension and hold it the way we would hold a baby or a kitten, maybe your favorite tree, and stay and breathe and let go. Side note, this is the work we do in my Soma Sessions practices. And some of you are doing in your own unique ways already. So the shadow of love are all the places where we've mostly been misattuned with, or we misattuned and didn't create repair after that rupture. And it all gets stored in the nervous system and in the subtle field around our body until it's been digested, until it's been met in a loving space and digested. The conduct of love. And I'm moving through these at a faster pace than I would if I was really taking us through a longer workshop. And if there's enough interest, I'll create a course around this and we'll spend some real time in a cohort with practices, because that's what it really calls for, is practicing over time. And we'll work with this. So we'll see. So the conduct of love. What is conduct? Well, I'll give you a few different looks at what conduct could be and see what you get from it. So conduct. It's been well said by the Tantric Buddhists that if you want to see how enlightened a Lama is, or a teacher, a Rinpoche, or even any teacher in the West, look at their conduct. If you want to see how much love somebody's embodied, look at their conduct. If you can do it without judgment, that's ideal. Because we're all works in progress. We all can have difficult moments. We can all have a feeling of aggression arise that we didn't expect. We all carry seeds of aggression. And until we've been sufficiently aggressed, we don't know what seeds of aggression we're still carrying. So the work of taking a leap in loving and being loved, a leap in freedom and fulfillment, gives us the opportunity to meet and dissolve these seeds, digest these seeds. These seeds are part of our shadow. The stuff we've walled off, experiences we carry in from our family lineage and our personal experience, as well as the collective of humanity. Excuse me. So the conduct of love is an opportunity to look at how we're behaving. And we can work with things like questions. What would a loving person say or do in this situation? What would somebody who's really feeling full in love, how might they handle this moment? How might they respond to that email? If I had enough or plenty, overflowing food, clothing, shelter, and love, how might I respond? Why do I ask it that way? Because mostly when our conduct is coming from grasping, clinging, chasing, or pushing away, if we're becoming reactive, we are knowingly or unknowingly coming from a feeling of scarcity, of deficit, of something's missing and something's wrong. Yet when we're able to resource ourselves, connect to the resource of love in a real way that we can feel in our body, we can digest that tension rather than act it out or act it in it ourselves. And our conduct will become more and more refined. We'll be coming more from love rather than from something's missing and something's wrong. Let's take another deep breath because this is evocative material we're talking about. Let go on the exhale. Beautiful, wonderful. So opening up to love. Opening up to love. There's a lot of ways we can open up to love. I've been studying love for decades, practicing, looking to learn about, spend time around people who are really cooked in love. It really is the most important thing to me, to the degree that I've said for years, it comes out of my mouth when I'm teaching, love is the whole story. And for me, it really is. It's the most important thing in being alive for me, is love. Otherwise, I just don't see the point. So opening up to love, there's a lot of ways to open up to love. Primarily, one of the key things we need to understand and practice with is recognizing love. Recognizing love. We don't all give and receive love the same ways. If we just look at the simple version of what came through, 30 some odd years ago, I think, the 5 love languages. The 5 love languages. And forgive me for not remembering the pastor who wrote those into a book. But he articulated 5 ways that he had studied at that time that people give and receive love, and that we tend to try and give it the way we would best receive it. And his list of 5 things were time, just spend time with me and I'll feel loved. Service, help out around the house. Let's say we share a house. Just do things around the house and contribute and I'll feel loved. Gifts, like actual physical gifts, like, here, I bought you this essential oil, or I sent you this book. Words of acknowledgement and appreciation. Words of acknowledgement and appreciation out loud or in writing. And the last one is physical touch. When we come back to Daniel P. Brown and Scott Elliott's work around forming really robust and deepening healthy attachments with love, safety and protection, attunement, soothing and comfort, expressed delight. So that could be similar to words of acknowledgement and appreciation, out loud or in writing. Expressed delight. There are people from whom, when they express delight at our wins in life, at our growth in life, it really helps to anchor our growth more deeply. It's very, very edifying to receive expressed delight from the right people. And the 5th one being support and encouragement for our best self. Not being pushed, encouraged. And just even listen to that word as we break it down, encouraged. Well, courage comes from the understanding of heart. Coeur is the French for heart. So of heart, or from the fullness of love, we could say. So being encouraged for our best self, when it's going well, is coming from somebody who's steeping in, coming from being full of heart, full of love, rather than, and I think we've all experienced it, we've done it and we've had it done to us, where somebody's just pushing us in a particular direction. It's really about them. It's really not the best way forward for us necessarily. It's what they think we should be doing. I know in earlier stages of my life, I had grown into a person who needed to be needed in order to receive love. So, looking for ways to be helpful, even if it wasn't wanted or needed. And I had to really confront that. And I can still see subtle ways where it wants to come up, and I just have to let it go. So there are different ways that we can recognize love. Also, we can get confused around reciprocity of love. You know, does it have to be at the same time? Like we both hug each other at the same time? No. But if I don't know that, I may think you don't love me. I gave you a bottle of essential oil and you said thank you very much and then that was it. But maybe next week you take me to dinner, unsolicited, a lovely dinner. So it doesn't have to be at the same time and it doesn't have to be the same way. But if we don't recognize that, we're not recognizing all the ways that love is coming to us. And it's coming to us in so many ways. So there's a lot of room for us to grow and awaken our senses to recognizing all the ways that we can see, feel, hear, sense, taste, know, love more deeply. Love gives freedom. Have you noticed that there can be people, and if you haven't, you can notice, that you can love very, very powerfully or experience the feeling of love about or for this person, and it's just not a fit to spend time with them for one reason or another. Maybe you're just not compatible at the moment. Maybe there's some real issues, personality issues over there with them or over here with us, that we're just not a fit, but we can still actually learn to deepen our capacity to feel love for all of existence, including the things we don't like or wouldn't choose. Imagine you could construct an incredible buffet, the best buffet of all the most incredible, wonderful things you've ever tasted to eat in your life. Just really imagine this. Start to imagine what you'd put on this buffet. For me, there would be varieties of chocolate, dark chocolate. There would be varieties of incredible cheeses. There would be varieties of root vegetables, fresh salmon, fresh grass-fed meats, all sorts of things, fresh berries, so many different things. If I really put everything I've ever remembered, my grandmother's strawberry rhubarb pie and her strawberry shortcake. So many things. What would you put on the buffet? Take a moment and imagine. Now, see, feel, or imagine this buffet in front of you like it's really real. Would you attempt to or think it's sensible to eat every single item on your buffet? Not me, said the flea. Not I, said the fly. No way. I'd get indigestion. I'd be sick. And first of all, there's way too much food on that buffet for one human being to consume in one sitting, let alone many sittings. It's a big buffet. So I'm going to select the things that feel compatible with my digestion, my interest, and my desire to taste. I want them all to combine well and digest well. And I don't want to overeat. So there's going to be a number of things that I'm not going to select. I really like everything I put on that buffet, though. Really, really like it. Now, if these were people, everything on the buffet was a person that we know. Should the people that we don't select at that meal feel bad about themselves? No more than the blueberries should feel sad or upset that we selected kale, brie, truffles, a smoothie, some pineapple. All the other items shouldn't have to feel bad about themselves or people simply because we chose what felt resonant with us. But how many times have we personally felt bad about ourselves because somebody didn't call us and they called somebody else or a group of somebody else's? And we stored that feeling. There must be something wrong with me or something wrong with them or both. And we carried this energy of upset and we brought it into the next interaction with them. And then we created a wall. We actually created the thing we didn't want that wasn't even there in the first place. They were just at their buffet of life, doing their best to select things that resonated at that meal, at that setting, that would combine well in their digestion, and that they would enjoy. It didn't mean they wouldn't select the other things another time. So this is big. See if you can let this land, because this is touching on the shadow of love. The shadow of love. The stuff we've got stored that we've confused with love, or how we understand love. That has set some of us up to be very much contracted and avoiding love. It's set others of us up to constantly seek validation and expect avoidance. Expect people to abandon us. When we clean up the unconscious around love, and this is a process that can take many years, and it's worth every moment of time of it. When we clean up our relationship to loving and being loved, we will begin to see more and more and more directly and experience it and taste it and feel it and know it. That love is not dependent on another person. Love is a force of consciousness that's already and always here. And if all continues to develop and we grow into this place, we will also begin to and deepen in the recognition that this force of consciousness, this creative power that creates worlds, one of whose faces is love, is what we truly are. That love is what we are. That we've been seeking outside for something that's already here. Does this mean that as we begin to find love within, and not just within the interior of the body, but within our own existence of awareness, that we won't have relationships anymore? No. What it means is that we will come to relationships nourished. Can you get a memory of anybody you've passed by on the street or at your gym or that you know personally who seems to come to your interactions nourished? There's no grasping, there's no clinging, there's no chasing, and there's no pushing away. They're present. And these are the folks in whose presence we can be more likely to feel love. And if our shadow is still containing a lot of contracted energies, bound energies, tension around loving and being loved, we may not be able to recognize the love that they're bringing or coming from, or receive it, or we may start to grasp at it. We want to own them. We want to belong to them. We go into a fantasy. Say this is somebody we go on a date with on the first date. By the end of the first date, we may be in this mood of like, oh my gosh, you're the most amazing person I've ever met in my whole life. We have to get married and we're going to move in together tomorrow. And oh my goodness gracious, we're grasping at it like there's no other love. Like this is the only chance. If this has ever happened to you, or if this has freshly happened to you, maybe some of you watching, this just happened to you recently. Something happened where you connected with somebody, you felt incredible love, maybe more surging of love than you're used to. You got attached really quick, and maybe they didn't find it was a fit for them. And they let you know that, or they quietly backed away in the face of the grasping. And maybe you're carrying some discomfort or pain about that. So can you have compassion? Can you pick up that discomfort and hold it the way you'd hold a kitten or your favorite tree or a baby or a puppy, and stay and fully feel through these sensations until they release back into creative energy, back into love, which they do eventually. Now, I don't mean to make this sound too easy, because it's not always easy. Sometimes we bump into a situation where it feels really difficult and it feels knotted up and it feels layered and complex, and one situation seems to be tied to other situations and memories of childhood and like that. And that can happen. It's happened for me. It may happen for me again, where I bump into a layer of shadow like that. And this is why I'm really grateful that I have facilitators that I go to who can hold that loving, that unconditionally loving space and non-attachment as I dive into these places of holding tension and seeming darkness. That can be really helpful. So consider that. Consider that, working with somebody like me or somebody else who works somatically, who works with the body to help you grow. And then do your work in between the sessions. Don't just depend on your facilitator or your group sangha or your occasional retreats. You've got to constantly be developing. And life will show us all, moment to moment. Just leave your house, drive somewhere in a major city, and just see, where do I react? Where do I judge? Where do I contract? Where do I lose sight of everything and everyone is worthy of my love or of love? It's not even mine. Everyone and everything is worthy of loving and being loved. And loving and lovingness, being in the presence of love consistently, people heal. But what do we do when we don't like somebody's actions? We withhold love. We might get involved in shaming and blaming and attacking and reacting. And how is this helping? Not helping anybody. Now, don't make yourself wrong. We've all been there. We've all been there. But we can do it differently. We can learn and we can grow. So that's a lot. I want to say a little bit more and then we're going to go into a practice, because I think it's really important that we dive into a little bit of a meditation together and just sit freshly in love, especially if this talk has been stirring up things that are unprocessed, yet to be processed in your body, in your feelings, from where you were misattuned with, where it didn't go so well. So one thing I want to remind us is that love is not about our preferences. We can love something and not like it, not choose it. Or we can like something and still not want to spend time with it that day or that hour. Like the buffet of all the wonderful foods that you said you liked, you put them all in one place. You're not going to eat them all in one sitting. It's just going to get indigestion. You're going to be sick. So effort, attention, and humility are required. Effort, practice, showing up for the practice, showing up for yourself. Maybe that includes contemplating, writing in your journal. Attention, putting attention on this. How are you going to put your attention on this? How will you remind yourself creatively? How will you inspire yourself to deepen your discoveries around embodying a leap in loving and being loved? And humility. Humility. Humility, we could do several years practice just around discovering together and deepening in what is humility. I'll say this, and it might sound a little cryptic to answer that question. The biggest burden in life is the burden of trying to be a particular person. We have to prove our worth, disprove anything that counters what we believe about ourselves. That's the opposite of humility. Humility is nothing to prove, nowhere to get to, and fully showing up from love. There's a lot more we could say, and you might have your own words to add to that. So let's go into a practice, shall we? So refresh your seat with your head, your neck, and your trunk in a long line. Freshly press your feet into the floor, your sit bones, your thighs, and your buttocks into your seat. Feel this. Feel the solidity and the holding of the earth. See if you can just give more of your body to the floor and the cushion or chair. Let it sink in a little more. Let the chair or the cushion and the floor hold you. Feel this holding. Let the breath come in deeply and go out slowly. See if you can have the feeling of letting your inner organs settle through your sits bones into the earth through the floor. Your digestive organs settling, your kidneys, diaphragm, lungs, heart. What do you notice as you let this happen? Freshly bring a portion of your awareness to the soles of your feet and soften the soles of your feet like you're opening imaginary, tightly bound fists with your mind only. You're softening the skin, tendons, and connective tissue, and the muscles all the way to the bone. And do the same thing with the palms of your hands. Just make it up that letting go is easy as the breath comes in deeply and goes out slowly and sweetly. Soften the inside and the outside corners of your eyes, like butter melting on a hot day, while you also soften the region inside and around your ears, letting go, letting go, letting go. Softening your tongue as it comes deeply to rest in the floor of your mouth, while you soften all the muscles, the little muscles of the pelvic floor, groin region, sphincter, PC muscle. Yeah, letting go. You can soften all 6 points at the same time now. Soles, palms, eyes, ears, tongue, pelvic floor. And just once again, touch one of those memories of feeling loved, deeply loved, just for being. It could be sitting and watching a sunset by yourself in your memory, or a hug, or laying next to a lover, holding a child, being held as a child in a loving way. Or perhaps you have the capacity at this time to feel held by awareness of awareness itself, the vast field of consciousness throughout the entire cosmos. As you breathe in, this feeling of lovingness moves in through all the pores of your skin, permeating the body, the tissue, the muscles, the tendons, the bones, the bone marrow, all the organs, permeated, becoming saturated freshly with the vibration of love. As you exhale, you gently let go of any tension you're holding. You let love digest it. You trust love to digest it. Let's sit together quietly for a few moments in this way. The longer and the slower you make your exhales, the more the thinking stream will slow down, so you have more capacity to feel the love infusing you, surrounding you, upholding you. And the loving qualities of your own consciousness become more recognizable. If you'd like to continue meditating in this way, stop the recording and continue meditating in this way as long as you're willing and able. For those of you ready to come out of the meditation, leave your eyes closed for a few moments and take 3 deep breaths to signal a clear transition to your body. Gently wiggle your fingers and toes, and when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Thank you for exploring love today with me a little more deeply. You may want to re-watch this a couple of times, maybe take some notes for yourself and see what creative reminders or developmental practices you might give yourself. And if you're inspired by this work with me, maybe you're sensing it's time to explore some one-on-one mentoring, one-on-one facilitation. And simply go to my website, I'll put a link below, and you can check out the private session section and see if that's for you. There's also plenty of courses. And as I said early in the video, if there's enough interest, I will put together a course probably for the fall. We'll see what's going on loving and being loved, a leap in freedom and fulfillment. So perhaps you can hear me freshly and really get it when I say, I love you profoundly. It's not for a reason, and you have no vote in the matter. My loving you does not require anything from you. May we be happy. May we be well. May the fruits of our inner work uplift all beings as well as the earth. May it be so, and so it is. See you soon. Bye for now.